everybody, and welcome to Ladies Table Talk podcast. I'm your host, Jess.
And I'm Marcia, the co-host.
So today we have got a very special guest, Aurea, who's going to be sharing her story and her journey in regards to her experience with domestic abuse. So Aurea, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Justina. I just want to say I'm very honored to be here, very flattered to be invited by you guys. I know the show is just starting, so it is an honor. So I am Aurea Reis. I'm the author of Healing Letters, as you can see as my banner on the side as well.
Fantastic.
So I born in Angola. I grew up in Portugal. I've been living in UK for 14 years now, since just like yesterday I moved here. I'm a single mother of 11-year-olds. And yes, I'm like I said, I'm very flattered to be here today and to discuss this subject that we should continue to be loud and loud and loud and never get tired of talking about it.
Definitely, because I'm definitely an advocate for women who's gone through domestic abuse, is what I do, obviously, on a professional basis. And I strongly believe that, you know, when you share your story, you heal others as well, and allow, you know, and that makes space for other women to feel brave and, you know, to share their journey and to share their their story, and not to feel scared of what other people's going to think and say, and, you know, not feel like, you know, their perpetrators making them feel that they're ashamed or feel ashamed of what they've gone through. So yeah. So I know that you went through some childhood abuse. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, my childhood abuse was because I was living in Angola, and my mom at the time, she was a single mother. And so because of the conflicts in Angola, she decided to bring me to Portugal. So I had to stay with a family. They weren't really my family, they were friends of my mom. And I stayed there. They were okay with me. They were humble to me, but they were just very unaware. Sometimes I used to feel invisible. And so they used to leave me with this neighbor. They used to live in the door. It was like buildings, apartments, and they used to live in the door in front. So they used to leave me with him when I was coming from school, or sometimes if they had to work on the weekend, I used to stay with him. And he was the only person that saw me, used to talk to me. And so use that to make me feel comfortable around him. And it was a time they actually, looking back, they actually felt like he was the only person that actually loved me, because he was there caring for me. You'd cook for me, watch cartoons with me, and then there was always like this kind of play that he used to do with me, which was abuse. But for me, I actually, with all of that, I used to questioning my mother's love, because he used to say to me that he loved me. So when you never
What age was you, sorry, Aurea, at that time?
I was around 5-6 years old. Six, around that age. So it was confusing to me, because he had no mom, but because she left me there, I felt abandoned. You know, she did the best. She thought it was the best option for me not to lose school, because in Angola, 1 week the schools will be open, the next week the schools will be closed for a month or something like that. And so when he started doing that, I didn't question. I remember he never said not to tell anyone, but I just thought it was normal.
Yes.
So I remember he never telling me to say to anyone until I start being a little bit more reluctant, because I never said no to him. I never said no. And but he only told me not to tell anyone further ahead, when he started seeing that I started to.
As you got older.
Yes. So that was the moment that I started realizing that it would not everyone will do that to children. When I started to understanding that there was evil in the world. You know, so it was I never had I don't know if we can go graphic, you know, it was molestation, not yes, it was more molestation. He never had penetration with me. And I also say in my book, I wonder if it was because I was too young But at the same time, you wonder sometimes, but then you don't really want to think about it because you actually pray that it never happened that way. But not to say that it would be more traumatic or less traumatic, because I'm 40 now and I still think about it sometimes when I see things or triggers.
Yeah.
So abuse, it's abuse. It doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
Aurea, just, you know, because your book's called Healing Letters.
Yes.
And I did want to ask you about, before we even go on to any other abuse that you've experienced. So, and you've said that you still think about it. Have you healed from that? Do you feel that you've gotten closure from that?
Not really. I feel when I wrote my book, the fact that I put out there, I wasn't protecting that person anymore. Because while I kept it a secret, I didn't see it that way at the time because I didn't have the knowledge, but I was protecting that person. And when you feel like you're protecting something that is wrong, it messes up with your head.
Yeah.
And I totally can relate to that. I totally relate to that.
Yes. So from the moment I put in the book, I feel there's a part where I say I forgive him, not for him, but for myself.
Yes.
But the fact that I never confronted that person, that part of my healing is still not 100% done. Makes sense. It might sound confusing, but if you've been through something like that, or even something different that you never confronted the person, you will understand. It's confusing, but it's not really. So I hope it makes sense. So I didn't confront him, but I know the person is still alive, and I wish one time I can look him into the eyes and ask why. Or any other question that comes to me at the time. I don't know. I think only when I'm in that moment I'm going to think about it, or but at the same time, sometimes I wonder if I'm strong enough already to confront that person.
Yes.
Can I ask, did the police ever get involved or anything like that? You just kind of moved away from that situation when you were younger, did it?
Yes, because then after a year, my mom came to pick me up again to go back to Angola.
Okay.
So I never went back to that place. Actually, I went, but very light, just when I went back to Portugal in holidays, just to visit and say hello. But I didn't really see him.
Stay with them.
Right.
Yes, I saw the people that I used to live, but not him. And then everything came back to me because the girl that one of the lady's daughter that used to live in the house with me, she I think was before I wrote my book, 2017 or 18. She sent me a picture when I was young, when I was living in her house. And so she just wanted it was just like, look what I found, when you find old pictures. But if she knew what she opened a box of worms, because I received the picture, when you receive something and you open, you're like, and I got, I can't even begin to explain to you what I felt, but
do you think that maybe she experienced that as well, or do you think it was just
you? She didn't tell me, but I don't think so. She did say to me that she and her other auntie suspected. Suspected.
Wow.
And so she said to me, why you never said anything? And so I actually put that in my book, where I say, wow, that right there pissed me off. Sorry.
I don't know if you can hear me, because
I can, yeah.
It just made me think about the way that adults can actually suspect or are even aware. Because my question would be, because they're saying, why didn't you say anything? But why didn't they say anything?
Exactly.
Why didn't they ask me, Marcia? Why didn't they ask me? Because she was a young girl as well. I was 6. She was around maybe 15 or something, because she was in the secondary school already. And so for me, it was like, you didn't have the courage to ask me, because her mom, she said to me that they suspected that he continued to do it to other girls. And one is her nieces or something, but they managed to cut it down. But even so, her mom never believed. She thinks the world of that person. you know. So
Oh,
you
right.
didn't have the courage to tell your parents, I think maybe this is something with that person is doing something to Aurea. Your other auntie as an adult didn't went to her sister or friend to say, oh, I think this is happening, let's ask her the question, considering that this person, you know, this girl is staying here, her mom is paying us to take care of her, so we need to be more aware. But then the only reason she asked me, she told me all of that was because I asked about the person, because I thought maybe he's dead already, you know. And then she said no, he's still pretty much alive. Why? And I said everything. I just didn't care anymore. The book was already with Marcia. Marcia was already editing the book. I knew the truth was coming out. You know, although they live in Portugal, I want to translate the book to Portuguese anyway. So I just said everything, and she was like, wow, why didn't you never said anything? I had a suspicious, but why you never said anything? That right there, I was like, girl, are you for real?
Yeah.
But then she starts saying that blame consumed her all this time, and she can't have kids, and she thinks maybe that's the blame. And I had to pause for a minute and think, you know what? We were both children, although she was older.
Yeah.
We were both children. So I said to her, you need to forgive yourself as well, because and God in the right time will give you the blessing. If it doesn't help natural, there's other options to be a parent. But I'm good, you know, I forgive you, don't, because she said, because I came out of her house and then I never went back like proper. And then when I am in Portugal, I don't look for them. I don't really talk much with them. She felt like she just felt that guilt. And I said she wouldn't have to feel the guilt anymore, because I forgive her for that.
Yeah.
I mean, what is tragic about situations like this is that, I mean, look, Aurea, you are the one that is saying, I don't blame them, I forgive them. You know, the victim, the survivor is the one who will have the burden of even making either the perpetrator or the people who should have protected you, make them feel better. And the victim can often be, who was a little child, can get a lot of blame and anger from people who were adults at the time.
Exactly. Marcia, you just nailed it, because you just nailed it, because it's like I was a child, but I had to grow up, make myself strong, and be able to move past that, because no one was going to do that for me. And soon I realized that, soon I became free. It's just a shame that it took me all these years, because I lost a lot of good people, not good people in my life, because they're back now, because they realized that I was in pain all the time. But like you said as well, what really angers me still at times is like, why is always the victim that has to become the strong person? Why can't the other person has the knowledge, at least acknowledge that you done me wrong? Because I'm sure if I go to that person and I say you did that, they're going to deny it. You know, and it continues, because the mother of that girl, she doesn't believe in none of that. So basically, it's still free. And one of the things that I realize is, even that the family knows, that belief of oh, let's not say anything to the police, or let's not let this secret come out to the outside world, because we want to protect the child. No, you don't want to feel the embarrassment of people looking at you funny. Oh, their daughter went through this, you know.
And there's a lot of that goes on as well.
That trauma, you know what I mean, which is wrong.
And there's a lot of that goes on as well. There's so much hidden abuse, because different cultures and communities, you know, are like, don't say anything, you know, keep your business to yourself, keep things within the, you know, the family, the community. And there's so much, you know, untold abuse that goes on, that the police are not aware about, that, you know, other family are not aware about. And, you know, you begin to feel that shame. You begin to feel like, you know, was it my fault? You know, was it me? You know, you feel kind of trapped within yourself, because you're not allowed to talk about and share what you've experienced. You want somebody to believe you. You want, you know, the person who hurt you to have some kind of punishment or something for what that, you know, they have done.
Even if they just have show some sort of remorse.
Or even that.
Even that. Because, you know, one thing that people say as well, and this is in my experience, because as an adult, I also wrote about my childhood sexual abuse when I was 5, 4, 5.
Yeah, I read
And
the book.
the
Yeah.
thing people say is, why now? That's what I got. Why?
Yes. Why now? What kind of question is that?
All of your life. And it got to be when you're an adult that you say why now, because you've processed what's happened, and you've built yourself up that you're able to bring it out.
So can I ask both of you, Marcia and Aurea, sorry, because you've both experienced childhood abuse. Did you feel that there was nobody around for you to talk to? There wasn't a trusted adult for you to say, you know, someone's hurted me, someone's touched me in a place where they're not supposed to touch me. Did you feel that you didn't have that as a child?
For me, Justina, I was feeling invisible. No one explained anything to me. No one talked to me.
Racism a factor as well for you, Aurea, in your story?
Sorry?
Racism was also part
Yes, because, you know, I think the fact that they were giving me a house, a bed to sleep, and they were keeping me safe, and they were feeding me, you know, for them was enough, which is many parents do that. Even I did that when I had my son, when I was through my postpartum depression, you know. So they think it's enough. So I was feeling invisible. Even my hair, they were white, so they didn't know how to take care of my hair. No one asked me anything. They just sat me on a chair one day and cut my hair without telling me what was going to happen. So when you're living all of that and you feel invisible, like you don't have a voice, or even that you shouldn't be talking much because you are a child and you need to obey. And I was coming from an African culture where we're very respectful of our elders. If they tell you to do something, you do. Who I'm going to talk to? I wouldn't. It didn't even pass in my mind. Being very honest, never even passed through my mind.
You had no voice.
Someone else.
You had no voice. It must have been very
even
hard.
To my mom. Not even when I felt safe. I was a million kilometers away when I went back to Angola. Not even there. I thought like maybe I should say something to my mom. Never in my head. Never. I just. People ask me, I just don't know what to say. I think it's just the fact that I felt invisible, no voice at all.
So as a child, the world that you lived in must have felt so unsafe, you know, and, you know, and as a child, you know, the world that you live in needs to feel safe. You need to feel loved, safe. There's people around you, happiness and joy.
A shell that feels heard will tell you everything. My son tells me things that sometimes I'm like, oh my God, do I really need to do this? Because he knows he can talk to me about anything, even the small things. And even the small things, sometimes I'm so tired, but I'm there listening because I want him to understand that if I'm listening to small things, I'm going to listen to big things. You know?
With me, it was a lot different to Aurea, because my abuse actually, I don't know if it just traumatized me. So my abuse was buried. So my abuse kept coming back to me in dreams and memories.
Right.
And so I could remember this experience. I could remember a lot of detail. I could remember detail of what he did, and I could remember even the feeling of it. But I didn't tell an adult. But the memories, just over the years growing up, just kept coming to me. This whole like scene of this experience. It took until I was a teenager to work out what it was. When I was a teenager, I didn't tell my mom, and I didn't tell my grandmother or anything. I told my peers, I told like my cousins who were like my closest friends. And as soon as I told them, they believed me. What this uncle was like. And so my peers knew, but I still didn't tell like my parents or anything.
Was you scared? Was you scared to open up to your parents to tell them? Or did you feel you weren't going to be believed? Or was it because it was
a strange thing? I know my internet's a bit slow, but you can hear me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Carry on.
You can hear me. I think, you know, I didn't actually think of telling my mum initially. It was just like, because my life, I mean, in my age group, when you were 15, you were a big woman, you know. I started going out with my children's father, my husband, the love of my life, when I was 15. So I'm a big woman, and I even told him, and he believed me as well. So it was commonly known in my circle, and everybody believed me because they just knew that he was capable of it. But then when I was going through trauma, when my husband like became unwell with his mental health, and our marriage was breaking down, so I was going through a depression and everything. You know, when you go through depression, the memories just even come back even more.
It's a snowball.
Everything.
Your mind starts racing. You start thinking and thinking and
So
thinking.
it came back. I was 27, and when I was 27, I did tell my mum.
Yeah.
She believed me straight away. She tried to confront the two men involved, and they both denied it. So that left me feeling so vulnerable, because I think I told my mum, she told my aunts and members of the family that knew.
Yes.
And I started to feel, and then they denied it. So it actually made me just feel worse. I felt exposed.
Yeah.
I felt violated again.
Yeah.
And what it really did for me, it made me question my mind.
Yes.
It was so powerful and strong, and I knew, and it had taken like 10 years for me to work out what had happened, what this memory was. But, and then, so I even understand why with my confidence and why I second guess myself, because I was put in a place by my family where I'm
they made you.
And they made me believe that my mind had created it.
Yeah.
And so I understand why I have a habit sometimes of my instinct tells me one thing and I do the other thing. I've done that for most of my life.
Yeah.
And then it took until I was 43 when it raised its head again, where I was just sitting, talking to a friend who happened to be close to one of the men. And she was just, and the thing is, when I spoke with my peers, it was just matter of fact. I'd just tell them, he did this and he did this and he did this thing. And I didn't have any anger or emotion. And even when I told her, it was just like, I was just saying, oh, because we were having a glass of wine, you know, a late Friday evening together. And I told her, and she was just horrified. And I was shocked that she was horrified, because it just was one of those things in my life.
Yeah.
And then she took action and she asked them about it.
Okay.
And then the man that she knew, he said, yes, it did happen. So remember, they'd been confronted at 27 when I was 27. So this is like 16 years later. They were asked again, and then they said yes.
They admitted it.
The two men got together, and I'll stop after this bit because I know we've got to get onto Aurea's, but the two men then apparently got together, and this is what they said. She remembers. So they had been, you know, as adults, they were feeling that because I was so young.
You was going to forget, or you wouldn't realise what happened to you.
That's when my anger rose up. About adults and the way, I mean, my passion, my career, my whole career has been about children and women, my whole life. And it just angered me. I was so angry as I was approaching 50, because how dare they? How dare us think that they can do things to young children?
Exactly. It's disgusting.
Not remember.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. It's vile and disgusting.
And then play you like that. They basically gaslight you. They gaslight
manipulation.
But I'll just add one more. I did go to the police when I was 50.
Right.
Okay.
And then one said they can't remember. And one said, I did something, but I didn't do that. So, and I actually also spoke to him in person, Aurea. So, and to be honest, it was just a waste of time. And it did. And I had an experience with them where they told me, Marcia, listen, let bygones be bygones. I thought they were coming to apologize. Let bygones be bygones. And I
It's
just
for
thought
them to say it.
it should be the other. It should be for
Yeah.
me to say that to
Say
them.
that,
That
yeah.
it should be you say, you know what, I
Let's
forgive
leave it.
you. Let
Yeah.
bygones be bygones. What
Yeah.
rather? So they hurt you and they traumatize you for life, and then they
Multiple.
feel the entitlement. I hate people that have
Yeah.
entitlement.
Yeah.
I even hate that word entitlement.
Yeah.
They come to you and tell you your traumas are nothing. Let bygones
Yeah.
be bygones. That's basically what they told
But
you.
what I think sounds the most vile thing about it, it just feels like they've got no shame,
No shame.
remorse
No.
of what they did,
Yeah.
you know, to you, the fact that they abused you, the fact that you
Yeah.
was a child,
Yeah.
you know, they should be on their feet begging, you know, to
Yes.
say, you
Right.
know,
Instead of
can
trying to
you,
force me and making me out. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
family members cussed me off because I went to the police. Because
You
when they
see, that's
too much
exactly what we
happening,
were saying. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly what we were saying. You know, the shame on the family. She should be
yeah,
quiet. Why should you
yeah,
be quiet?
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's
And it's not
terrible.
about the
And that's
shame on
why
the
many
family.
people don't come forward and say,
Yeah,
oh, what things happen to them, because
yeah,
they don't want to go through all of that, because you
exactly,
already went through all of that trauma, and then you have people point the finger at you like you were the one
exactly.
doing something
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah,
Black sheep
yeah.
of the family.
So Aria, so
Yes, that's
after
the order.
you experienced your childhood trauma, can you tell us a little bit about what happened after that? So you moved away, you was back with mom, so you continued growing up through childhood. So what
Yes.
happened following that?
As an
So
adult.
with me, I never forgot. I chose to forget, but it
Hmm.
was always there in the back of my mind. You just think if you don't talk about it, you'll go away.
Yeah.
But I actually hold that against my mom, and my
Hmm.
relationship with her was always very conflicted. You know,
Hmm.
it was very tumultuous growing up, me and her. I remember one time she actually saying it almost seems like we sleep with the same man because we always like on each other's throats,
Right.
and things like that. And because of my family relationship, it was just like I call it unhealthy family cycles, because
Right.
culture cycles where you feel the person's doing you wrong, but
Hmm.
by treating you in a certain way, and you always feel like you have to be there saying yes, okay, I'm not going to say anything. It's disrespectful. So it was always very, very conflicted relationship with my family, where I always felt like I was the stepdaughter. I was
Hmm.
adopted, because the same way I felt invisible when I was
Hmm.
young, I felt invisible for the rest of my life, because I had that against my mom. It was like, you left me there, you went to be
Yeah.
happy. My mom left it there as a single mother, but then when she came back, she was pregnant.
Right.
So for me,
Okay.
that was a betrayal.
And yeah,
No,
yeah,
I don't even know. I know, because it was like I went through all of that because you left me here,
yeah.
and you went there, be happy with your boyfriend, and now you're pregnant. And when I saw that she was pregnant, she said she was
Hmm.
pregnant. I actually was afraid that she was going to leave me there for good and go live happily ever
Oh
after.
gosh,
Yes,
that must have
so
hurt your feelings a lot.
it did hurt my feelings, and the kind
Yeah,
of my relation with my mom from that point on was always love and hate.
So
yeah.
you were never feeling really secure.
No,
Hmm.
I always felt that's actually very good, you know. I always felt I could be abandoned anytime, any moment, by any
Yeah.
relationship, by
Wow.
friends, by family, by romantic relationships. That's
Mhm.
actually very good that you mentioned that, Marsha,
Yeah.
because I actually never really went deep into that.
Okay.
But I always felt like any relationship that I was in, I was going to be abandoned somehow.
Abandoned.
So
Yeah,
before it even
yeah,
happened, I was already in fear of that and suffered
yeah.
that. So my um, behavior was always being needy and
Mm.
trying to control the relationship
Yeah.
somehow, you know. So then I had my son. I met my father, my son's father in Portugal. We had a
Hmm.
relationship which basically started because I
Hmm.
just wanted to get out of my parents' house. If I was the
Hmm.
person that I am today, I
Hmm.
wouldn't move in with him, but I moved in with him because I just wanted to get out of the house. I
Yeah,
just wanted to
yeah,
go. I just wanted to have my freedom.
yeah.
So he felt like he bought my freedom by inviting me to go live with him. And because we
Okay.
actually had a relationship, it wasn't a bad relationship, you know.
Mhm.
I felt because he took me out of there,
Mhm.
then I own him to stay with him, because I'm not going to lie, and I said that in my book, he always loved me more than I loved him. I cared for
Right.
him, I liked him, but I didn't love him. I never
Okay.
loved him, you know. So I stayed in the relationship even when I knew that person wasn't for me and we weren't meant to be together forever, because you do know, you know. But I
He
felt
was
I
your
owned
escape
that
route
him.
then, wasn't he? He
He
was your
was my
escape.
escape. That's the
Yeah.
right word.
Yeah.
So then after we came to UK, had some conflicts as a relationship, but it wasn't violent, it wasn't bad, it was just like the love wasn't there. I was with that person because I thought that I owned him, that it was my forever thank you, until I had to
Yes.
wake up and say, you know what, I think I pay my bill. I
Yeah.
don't, this
Yeah.
is not a relationship for me. I
And was
need
that 10 years you were with him? How long were you with him?
10 years altogether, basically. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years, no,
Yeah.
8 years actually. 8 years I was with him, you know.
Okay.
We had our son, and I think it had to happen because
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
love my son and I'm happy that he's here now. But it
But you
wasn't a
need to be
relationship.
happy. You
Yeah,
need
I
to
needed
find
to be
your own
happy, and I wasn't
happiness.
happy. He was happy
Yeah.
because he was having the relationship that he
That he
wanted.
wanted, but you
But
didn't
what
have
about me?
yours.
You
Yeah.
know when
Yeah.
nothing is really that wrong, but you're not satisfied. You know who remembers? I don't know if you've been following Adele, but she says about that as well. She wasn't unhappy, but she wasn't really happy.
Happy,
So she
right?
asked for
Okay.
divorce. It was
Yeah.
kind of the same situation, you know. We had a
Yeah.
few things in the book where I talk about it because he was very his family. Everything needed to be kind of his way, but not in a nasty way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
What I want to bring you to, because one of
yes,
the particular points in your book, you really highlight narcissism.
yes,
And it's something in another relationship.
that was after him.
So could we go on to that section?
Yes, we can. So what happened was, after I separated from him, 2 years after. So Lucas was a bit grown, because when I separated from my ex, he was 3 years old. So he was five. He was starting school. So I thought, like, you know what? I have a boy. I need a man in my life, you know, to be that role model, male role model. And it's about time. 2 years, you know, I never finish a relationship and go straight to another relationship. I like to give a time for myself. And I didn't have time anyway. So I said, let's get someone. And my friends used to joke around and say, where are you going to meet the man? Because my life was working, homework, my son. And I said, and one of my managers said, oh, try online. So I tried online. Girl, it was my first and last time I tried online because I got traumatized. Yeah, never again, you know. And people get some good people and they're happy, but he was traumatized. So I met this person, and so the profile online, it was like it was written for me, because that was exactly what I was looking for. I like my old man that's, you know, not old, but older man that's, you know, pure, have they things together, because I don't want to be anyone's mom. You either be here or here, but here I'm not taking anyone. Call me gold digger, call me whatever you want to call. But I always have a little project to handle, which is not project.
Your own project.
Yeah, I'm not project manager anymore. I don't even like that job title. I'm not even a project manager anyway. You know, that's not my job title in real life. So I said I'm not doing that anymore. You know. So I went and met this person, and from the beginning it was the love bombing, you know, which I actually have a definition just for people to know, which is it happens when someone overwhelms you with loving words, actions, and behavior as manipulation technique. It's often used to win over your trust and affection so that they can meet a goal of theirs. So what happened was, we were talking a lot over the phone, so I just blurted up everything. He was asking me questions because he was very good with that. So I just started telling about the story of my life, you know, open up like a book. Ladies, listen up. Your life is not an open book. You know, it sounds weird coming from an author, but your life is not an open book. I wrote a book, I wrote a memoir, but there's still parts of my life that are very private.
That's so private. Yes, definitely.
when you meet someone, don't go tell all your business in the third phone call, just because you think, oh, he's being nice, he wants to know more about me. No.
They can use it against you.
He used against me. So
Yeah.
what he saw a vulnerable person
Yeah.
with lot of needs, abandoned issues, you know, and he used that against me. He gave me everything he knew, even with my ex, like my son's father. Although he never beat me up, he never like mistreat you in a nasty way. We never had like arguments like that the neighbors have to, you know, it was always very, you know, like so he saw, and he knew I was struggling as a single mother. So he basically gave me 1 week everything that I felt like a queen. I felt like I found my king. I was calling all my friends and saying,
that's how it always starts off.
I'm going to get married. Listen, then the week after, I had to travel to Orlando because of work. And while I was over there over the phone, because of a silly thing of me, because I needed to try his love, because it was the child in me that needed to know that the person really liked me, and I know it was too early for him to love me. I said that an ex of mine, someone that I had an affair at work, was there just to make a bit of jealous, just to see how he would react. And the way he exploded should ring red flags to me and say, wow, this is not right, because he exploded to me. Not even my ex ever shouted at me like that. And he was the father of my son. And even though he was the father of my son, he had no rights. Before that, our first meeting, I arranged to meet him in a hotel. I went for afternoon tea with my friends, and then I said, you guys don't leave here until I tell you to leave. You need to stay. So I went to another table with him. I didn't say my friends were there.
Brilliant.
So we were there having a drink, and he was looking to the waiter's boobs and, you know, her behind, and I was like, are you enjoying the view? And
Aurea, red flags
right there. That was my first red flag, you know, that I should just stand over, just leave the table and go to my friends, because he was looking at her. And when he turned around, I was looking at him like that. But let me tell you something, culture cycles, because I took that as African men are like that. It's just a man being a man. No, it doesn't matter which culture you come. And I should have lived. And he turned around to me and they said, oh yeah, I do have a problem, and that's why I'm doing therapy. I actually have 3 therapists. That's another red flag.
That's another red flag. And we always ignore the first few red flags. We always have an excuse for the red flag. You always do it.
And I actually said 3 therapists. Why? And he said, oh, I don't know if you ever done therapy, which I didn't.
I would have made me run.
We don't carry on. I'm Black and I'm African woman. We don't do that, you know. So I was like, no. And so he started explaining that the 3 different therapists had they discussed that one was behavior, the other one was whatever, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So I might not do it, but I respect the same way I respect other people's politics and religions, whatever. That was my first red flag. Then was everything. Like that night, I ended up staying at his house because it was snowing heavily in Birmingham. I live in Wolverhampton. So nothing happened, you know. He was very respectful, he didn't even try anything, just a kiss, which he asked me, and I thought was a bit dry because no one ever asked me for a kiss. You just naturally. So it wasn't even romantic. He didn't have that fire, but I just thought like, oh, he's such a gentleman. You know, we slept in the same bed. He didn't even try anything, and I thought like, wow, he's definitely my
Aurea, that's even part of the strategy.
Completely. Completely, you know. And then in the next day we were having breakfast. He wake up early, went to buy some stuff for breakfast and whatever, and we were sitting at the table, and he was talking to me like I was his woman already. And all of a sudden I just turned around and say, you know what, I'm a bit confused right now. And he said, why are you confused about it? He stopped because he saw like maybe in that moment he thought, oh, I can't play with this one. And I was like, you're talking to me like we already girlfriends, boyfriends, like what's going on? And he said to me, well, that's exactly where we are now. And I thought, no, I said, that's a bit quick now. Oh, I don't play. You need to understand, you talking with an alpha man, a mature man. And when I know what I want, that's the route that I go. And then he said, what did he say? I know you're not used to have alpha men in your life, but you need to understand that you were chosen. That's a red flag. Chosen. You were
Oh my
chosen.
gosh.
So you have my attention now. So let's just move on with this. Something on those.
Wow.
I remember the words. It was the sentence is not correctly in that sense,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I remember the word chosen. You have my attention, and let's move on with this life. Like I didn't have to say.
You
Wow.
have a
So
say. No
And
discussion,
I
no
felt flattered.
nothing. Just
Yeah,
that's it. This is how it's
yeah,
going. Full
yeah,
control.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
And the silly me here felt flattered because that's so put together, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
With
yeah,
so many
Yeah.
women's, you know,
yeah.
he was used to date the models and all these women's like powerful
Mhm.
business women.
You
And he
felt
looked at
flattered.
me and he wanted me. Oh my God, I was
Yeah.
in heaven.
Red
So
flag.
Aurea, moving forward, how long was you with him for?
Justina was 9 months, but it felt like a lifetime. And if I was with him still now, probably in the mental hospital.
Wow. And what made you leave? What was the last straw?
The last show, it was like I started doing therapy as well. And
Okay.
then I came out of I came from a trip from New York.
Mhm.
And by then, because we had on in and on of the relationship, like 1 week we'll be together, the next week we're not together,
Mhm.
and always trying to put me like in a shelf. And one thing
Right.
that I actually said in my book in my book is when you know evil, which for me
Mhm.
was my abuser when I was young.
Yes.
I tend to, not anymore, but I used
Yeah.
to tend to let it go until it comes to a point where, you know what, I'm tired of this. And I'll just go. And you're
Mhm.
like, oh, what happened to her? I just went, you'll
Yeah.
not see me again. But what happened was we weren't together anymore, but at the weekends, because he and my son bond so much, at the
Mhm.
weekends he used to say, oh, we're not together, but if he wants to come see me, you can still bring him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thought that was wonderful, but it was
Mhm.
just another technique to
Red
keep
flag.
having me around.
Yeah.
You know, he was just interested in seeing my son because he wanted me
To have
to
access
be
to
around.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I went to
Mhm.
New York, when you out of your bubble, you
Yeah.
see things clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was there and I was thinking, I'd send him a text saying when I come back that I was going to stop with the visits because it didn't make sense, because soon I
Mhm.
meet someone or he met someone, it wouldn't make sense because he wasn't really his
Yeah.
father. And so when I came back, what happened was he broke his finger.
Right.
And then if we had the history and then something happened to you, if I can help, I'll be there
Mhm.
for you. And then soon you good, I'm disappearing
Mhm.
again. You know, so I was there to help. But at the
Okay.
same time, I needed a bit of closure. If you read the book,
Yeah.
you understand why. And so I stayed there 1 week and I went there, stayed with him. And
Mhm.
then I brought my son home. He had a consultation the next day. So one thing took to another, and we ended up having sex that night.
Right.
But before that happened, he asked me if the whole time, which was basically a month, we weren't together, if I was with someone. And I said yes. He was always telling to me,
Mhm.
I don't like lies.
Yeah.
You are a
Yeah.
liar. You're always lying, because sometimes he'll
Mhm.
ask me questions that I was confused and I wouldn't understand. And
Yeah.
so I said to him, yes. And because he was someone from my past,
Yeah.
I said to him, it happens. I didn't even have the person's number, but because you finished with me over an email,
Yeah.
I thought our relationship was just finished. That
Okay.
person contacted me, invited me for a drink. So I went, one thing led to another, you know. And so he still chose to have sex with me. Of course, I was
Yeah.
obligated. I had sex with him as well. And very honest, it was more because I needed closure.
Yeah.
And
So to kind of wrap up, what kind of like narc experiences did you experience from him? If you can provide us with a few examples.
he was a grandiose narcissist. He thought he
Okay.
was the best. He thought everybody else was just idiots.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, he thought that sometimes he had a bit of covert narcissism as well, because he said when he was young, he wanted to be a singer, but because he had stupid women around him acting dramatic,
Right.
messed up his career.
Ladies,
You know?
Okay.
can we actually just explain or define, Ari? I think What is
Yes. So grandiose narcissist. So they think I'm better than you, and that's it. And I know that. Then you have the malignant narcissist, which is borderline with psychopaths. Then you have the covert narcissist, which is they just want people to feel sorry for them. It's like I'm great, but the world doesn't see me. No one see me how great I am. Then you have the communal narcissist, which is you see a lot on social media. Which is oh, look at all the great things I do. Look at me, I'm great. And they go home and you talk to the children, and there's like, my mom is awful. But you talk to them and say, you're so ungrateful. Your mom is great. No, they know what we're talking about.
I know a few.
You know, narcissist has another name, but that's the one I found today. I had other notes, but yeah. So basically, that's the 4 types that I know about it. And if you want to know more about the narcissist behavior, look for Dr. Ramani. She's a clinic psychologist and a teacher psychologist and author as well. And it was because of her, I was sitting in my sofa because I had a relationship with this person. The whole time I just thought he was crazy because he had a very traumatic upbringing. And I just thought, like, he's crazy, you know, it's difficult, you know, he's not going to change. So I let it go. But then one day I was sitting in my sofa watching the Red Table with Jada Pinkett Smith. And Dr. Ramani was invited, and they were talking about narcissistic behaviors in relationships. And she was explaining about certain behaviors. And I thought she was talking about me. And that's when I woke up and I felt so deceived. So upset. And you know why? Because this person is a psychologist himself. So he
he knew exactly how to play.
Yeah, he knew exactly. And let me tell you something. I so have to applaud you ladies for doing podcasts like this, because the same way that podcasts help me, I'm sure many women will sit here, listen to us talking, or any other people you bring into the show, and it's going to help, because that's podcast. I believe that if one day he just want me to go and have a drink with him, by then I'll probably go just say, oh, I just want to be his friend. You know, we didn't work romantically, but we can be friends. From the moment I heard that podcast, I realized that person needs to be far away from me. And even that they dying, I'll probably call the police or someone else that can help. But I don't want to even be near, because I'm even scared until now that he can manipulate me in a way that I can just go back, not romantically, but fall again into the trap. It makes sense, you know.
So quickly moving forward as well. So to give other women hope that not all men are bad, not all men are abusers, narcissists. You're now with somebody nice that you're happy with. Can you tell us briefly a little bit about you know, your new relationship, how happy he makes you feel?
You know what, Amasha knows him. You know what, when you are into a healthy relationship, nothing is rushed. He knew me before we start dating. He actually teach my son karate. He's a karate teacher. And he gave me time for everything. Even I think was not last year, the year before, when my book came out, it was a lot of things that were happening. And I said to him I needed to be alone, and he gave me the space. We were separated for 8 months, but he didn't took nastily. You know, he's older than me. He'd been married for 26 years until he became widow, you know, and he understood that I just needed time. But he continued to come. I had COVID in the meantime during that time, and he continued to come here, bring me food, caring for me, for my child. And is the type of person I even have to be careful venting too much to him, because men that cares for you, they're fixers. They
like to,
you know. So when sometimes I have to say, I don't want you to do anything. I'm just standing out to you because I trust you're not going to say anything to anyone.
Can men feel it's their duty to look after you, to care,
and we're not
to
even
provide?
Married. We don't live together. We don't have plans to live together as yet. You know, we're comfortable where we are. He's busy. I'm busy. But weekends, you know, after this, I'm going to him, spending the weekend. You know? And when you are in a healthy relationship, you don't feel pressure to anything. He understands that my priority is my son. He's
Yeah.
there to help. He gives me space to be myself. He respects my
Fantastic.
opinion. He respects my projects. When I start looking for Marcia and publish my book, the man doesn't like to read, but you should see him like he's like a reader and he understands book. He was doing research for me
Brilliant.
without overtaking. You'll say, you let me say something and then say, give some tips. So they let you be who you are. They don't try to change. You know, when they don't like something, we never had an argument, actually. I don't want to have anyone.
That's
They come
fantastic.
to you and they ask you what's going on. And when they don't like something, they tell you in a nice way. You know, when he wants to buy you something, because I had the situation where he said to me, I don't like the way you dress, and he just buy everything for me in my other relationship. But with this one, it's like, if I'm going to buy something I'm not secure, he will tell me, you know what,
You look beautiful,
but I don't see in you, you know, this.
I'm really happy for you, Aurea.
Yeah, just having a friend. It's your best friend. You know, when people are married and say, my husband is my best friend, before I say, that's a lot of crap.
But it's true now, you know.
It is true. If when you have a healthy relationship with a man or woman, that person is your best, because you can gossip knowing nothing going to come out there. You can say everything, you know, and you have a good banter where people, even with the other person, you know, he wanted to have more children with my narcissistic relationship, and he was older, and I said, you're not going to even be able to, because I'm a joker. And I said, are you going to run after the kid in the park? He becomes so upset. He became so upset. He said, like, I was abusive and I was putting him down. I was just joking. With my boyfriend, my currently boyfriend, if you see the things we say to each other, then you'll say it's abuse. But we just
got that banter. You know, you got that banter. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, sorry. Yes.
No, I was just going to say quickly, if there's any advice that you can give to anyone that's experienced childhood trauma and abuse, what would that advice be?
And Masha probably will understand this. Until you heal the child within yourself, you're always going to be lacking in some parts of your life, if not all, because there's always going to be have triggers around you. There's always going to be something that will enable you to be the woman that you are, or the man, the person, whatever, because you always feel like you are in a prison. When you are in a prison, you can see your family, but it's not the same, is it?
No.
You can do things, but it's not the same, is it? You can watch TV, but you can't really go on the weekend, you can't really go home and have dinner with your family. You know, it's maybe a weird analogy, but you always going to be in the prison, holding the bars and looking like this, when you can just go through the door and experience the world and feel free. And when I say free, it's feel like no one is owning you. Because the only person that will own you, it's yourself. But until you heal that child within yourself, there's always people owning you and feeling entitled to your freedom. Your freedom is yours. God gave it to you. Don't allow anyone to take that from you, because the freedom to go, when you go to prison and your freedom is taken away, you did something wrong. But when it's your spiritual freedom and you give it for free to other people, you're not doing a disservice to yourself. So that's my main advice, because that's something that I really had to heal and learn in the most bad ways. You know, it really took me a lot of years to get here. But now that I'm here, I'm happy that I went through all that process.
And you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. And you know, anyone in the audience that wants to buy Aurea's book, Healing Letters, you know, follow Aurea on Instagram, and I'm sure she'd be happy to, you know, answer any questions or send some copies of her books or anything like that.
I talk with everyone. If you text me on Instagram, Facebook, and you say you want to buy a signed copy, I have people coming to me sometimes asking advice. You know, I just talk to people, because I think when you write a memoir, then you have the not obligation, but kind of, you know, if people not coming to you, coming, you know, I'm always like, for example, when Masha comes to me and asks me to be part of webinar, I think it's a service. You know, I went through that, and because I wish I had all of these when I was coming through all my process. I didn't even know where to reach out. I was doing therapy.
I went through the
I
same
wish
thing.
I had all of these. So
Yeah.
again, congratulations to you guys to
I
create
mean,
platforms like this.
I didn't experience childhood abuse, but I experienced my my abuse in my early 20s, and I didn't even know what domestic abuse was. I didn't know about any services that supported anybody with domestic abuse. All I had was family and the church and God, and I had to do my own inner healing and find me in my own way. So I totally understand, you know,
and I just
where
need
you're
to
coming
say
from with that.
this, Justina, sorry to cut you. You know, I need to tell out there, my abuse wasn't physical. It was emotional. And Masha, remember what I asked you when you sent me the flyer? It was you or Justina, I don't know. I sent me the flyer and I said, well, mine was emotional. Is that domestic violence abuse? And I've been advocate for domestic violence abuse since I started with my book was published. But I still sometimes I have to ask people, because I'm talking with some people sometimes, oh, but that is not domestic violence abuse. So I still question myself
different forms of abuse.
It is. And only when I started advocating, and I did 2 webinars about narcissistic relationships and domestic violence abuse, that one of the ladies, she worked in the Masha knows, which is Pamela R. Ains, you know, she works in the legal service before she retired, and she explained to me that it was that I could actually go to the police and make a complaint about the person. I didn't know that.
Right.
Isn't that amazing that you go through all of these things? And like I said in the beginning, let's be loud and loud and loud. And one more time, congratulations to this platform, because
thank you.
Even with so many information already like outside, people still don't know these kind of things. And it's sad, you know, it's sad.
Thank you.
This is brilliant, Aurea. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
Thank
My
you
job is to
having me.
summarize what we've learned from the interviews. There's been absolutely so much from the impact of childhood abuse and where that places the child that then becomes a woman. But then what Aurea is also saying is, if that child is not healed from traumas from childhood, they can remain emotionally in that place, you know, and until that healing happens, it's difficult for the woman to move on, or for the individual to move on. But what you've also given us is how you can find healing through therapy, through writing. Because I wanted to ask you about, you know, how did you now attract the man that is now in your life? And I'm just going to answer it really, that what I can see is because you've been on that journey of healing to be at a place where you're aware and you're just not going to attract the narcissist and the abusers. But we have to do work on ourselves in order to be at that place. And so I want to thank you, Aurea, and Jess, absolutely. I'm just so enjoying doing these interviews.
Yes, it was amazing. And just to add on to Marcia's point as well, and it's very important as well for you know, people to know the effects of what abuse can do to children. You know, you might think, oh, the little, they don't know, they're not aware, they're not listening, but they are aware. They know and they listen, they see and they feel. Okay.
And they retain information.
I mean, in regards to obviously Aura's experience and something that Marcia's experienced as well, they went through, you know, the sexual abuse, you know, which is slightly a bit different because that's kind of, you know, sexual abuse, and obviously that must be very traumatizing for any child to actually, you know, experience and go through. And if anybody ever suspects or got inkling or got a feeling, please do not leave it. Please act. Please speak to that child, report it, do whatever you need to do, because that is going to really psychologically mess up that child when they're an adult, you know. And just to
how I raise my kids,
life,
my confidence, because of the mental aspects as well, affected my whole life.
So I'm very protective of them because of that, because I'm like, sleep in anyone's house. No, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stay home, sleep home.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just be careful who your child's around, you know.
Yes.
Do you know the person? Do you know enough about them? You know, so all these things as parents, we need to literally think about. We need to make sure that our child comes first, not our needs. That your child needs come first. When you become a parent, your child's needs come before yours. You know, their safety. You know, make sure your child, you know, is safe, in safe hands. You know, all these things we need to think about. You know, we need to take importantly.
And from what Aurea said as well, from her experience as a child, she wasn't seen and she wasn't heard.
Yes.
So her son now, you know, I've met her son as well, and she's right. He's, I mean, he's wonderful. And he's so just friendly, and he just talks. I'm just also say, as you're talking about the children and their emotions, that one of the things which I think is remarkable that Aurea has done with her son is she supported him to write a book when he was 9.
Oh, that's amazing, Aurea.
It's about feelings. It's called Feelings and How I Deal with Them. And it is an amazing book that can help adults and children about their feelings. What I also find amazing about the book, because I have copies of the book in my home and I've given them to my grandchildren and my nieces and so on, that my grandson, who's 7, he looked at that book when he first saw it and he said, that looks like me.
Oh.
Then we looked at the picture, and even down to the haircut. What's nice is it's a black boy. They're very rare that you're going to get books with black boys written by a black boy. The picture on the front is a black boy that boys will identify with, and
that's amazing,
marvelous. So it's called Feelings and How I Deal with Them. And sometime in April, we're having the actual launch event. I've got to chat with Aurea.
Hopefully we'll be there.
Yeah. And I have to say thank you to Marsha, because, you know, he wrote the book, but then Marsha had this project in Marsha M Publishing House. And so we took the deal, and it happened because of you, because he wasn't even certain, but then you spoke with him and he got all enthusiastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Jess, just to say that one of the plans is that we're going to be donating these books into refugees and organizations who work with domestic abuse. So Jess is a great connection, because that's what Jess just does.
I work for one of the largest charities as an advocate for domestic abuse, and plus I've got my own company as well, where I coach women, you know, that's gone through domestic abuse as well. So, you know, a lot of the women that I deal with have children, so that would be amazing.
But Jess,
and even Jess, if you ever want me to donate some books, please hit me up. You know,
I will do.
Of course, you want to make money with your books, but causes like these, I'm not about the money. It's about helping other people as well. So
that's fantastic. Thank you for that, Aurea. You're a big inspiration. I'm so happy that I met you today on the Ladies Table Talk podcast. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for her. Thank you to think about me, Marsha. Thank you. You always do anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you for the audience. So everyone that is tuned in today, whether it's been on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, thank you. Please like, follow, and you know, follow our journey. Okay.
Share. And subscribe on YouTube.
Please subscribe. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Bye.